Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. We are in the spooky lighting today because I have more spooky paranormal stories for you. If this is your first time to my channel, I hope you like spooky things, I hope you like makeup, and I hope you like crafts because that's pretty much what we're all about here. So subscribe and become unusually horrid with me. If you're not new, welcome back. Thank you for joining me again. It's good to see you. It has been a week. Let me just tell you that. I already tried to film this intro and my light died yet again because batteries? Psh, no, those don't have any life no matter how many times you charge them. Anyway, it's been a crazy week. My husband's been called into work a bunch of times, so I barely got to see him. It was our anniversary this week. My best friend got married on Monday. It's just been a lot. The grocery store didn't want to take my money because their POS system was like messed up, and it's been a lot this week. So all I really want to do is just take a minute to unwind, do a little skincare routine, and get spooky. So let's get started. I'm gonna jump into something more comfortable and I will be right back. Okay, I am back. Let's jump into the facial care, shall we? So I have from Ep.5 a makeup remover here. I'm pretty sure I got my Ipsy 2 months ago? Yeah, I think it was part of my August one. Like I said, I got one that was like all skincare. So let's see how nice this works. If it doesn't work very nice, I have some micellar water on the side waiting for me. I haven't used a makeup wipe in forever, but let's get this off. Okay, so far, this product is not bad. So, I guess we're gonna get into spooky stories here. I have had way too many paranormal experiences for like one person. Honestly, they've just been like, not very paranormal to me because it's almost regular to have paranormal experiences, but there's a couple weird ones that stick out in my mind that I'll go ahead and talk to you about. Now, these ones aren't necessarily super ghosty. I might get into a ghostier one, but most of these are just like weird, unexplainable things, or just weird things in general. Just some spooky chat for us on this October's Eve as we get ready for Halloween. So far this has taken off my makeup pretty good. Let's get that the lipstick off. Well, that took it clean off. Okay, LA, what was this? LA Girl? LA Fresh? LA Fresh, the original makeup remover wipe. Pretty good. So, let's jump into the spooky then. Let's start off with, I don't know. I'll tell you the first time I ever saw a UFO. I've seen a good couple, which, I'd like to maintain that UFO does not mean alien. And anyone who instantly jumps to alien when they think or when they hear UFO, just honestly, just calm down, okay? It could be anything. That doesn't change the fact that people have seen some weird stuff out there, myself included. So I don't remember 100% how old I was. My brain wants to say 8 years old. But it could have been anywhere from 8 to 10. And we were on our way to my mom's best friend's house. She lives in Spokane. And this particular night was interesting because it was the night of that year or season or whatever that Mars was the closest it had been to Earth, so you could see Mars that night. So not that that really has anything to do with the story, I just thought it was a funny coincidence because it's a UFO story. So I'm assuming from context of just my life and things that have happened to me before that I must have thrown up in the car or almost thrown up on the way to this trip because I was in the front seat of the car. And I'm the baby in the family, so I only got front seat privileges if something was going wrong. So I'm pretty sure I either puked in the car or almost did. So I was up front, and because I was small enough to kind of lay down in the front seat a little bit and see out the front window, I was laying back just kind of chilling, when all of a sudden this huge greenish ball of light was right above our car, just huge, and I'm like, oh, that's like a really weird satellite. I used to look at satellites all the time because I was like, why is that so slow? Because I thought they were UFOs. I saw Spice World really early, and there's a whole UFO scene in that movie, and it just like, from then on, I was obsessed. That's like one of the first things in my life that made me obsessed with aliens. Anyway, so I'm like looking at this ball of light in the sky, and I'm like, wow, that's like really huge. And it just suddenly moves faster than anything I've ever seen in my life, takes off across the sky, and just leaves this little trail behind it. And I didn't say anything to anybody at the car at the time because I didn't really know what to think of what I just saw. It was just weird. And yeah, eventually we made it to my mom's friend's house. Me and her daughter slept on the trampoline that night, which was kind of cool. I think that was the first time I'd ever slept on a trampoline. But yeah, so that was my little first UFO story. I know it's not super creepy or really that interesting, but that was the first time I ever saw something in the sky that I was like, what was that? Okay, so I just went in with my micellar water just to get some more of this lovely junk off of my face. Okay, so the first mask I'm going in with today is my mint julep mask. I love this stuff. It is from Queen Helene or Helene. I love this stuff when I'm really breaking out. I feel like it's the only product I have where, see this, if you go back to one of my videos last week, the one where I was doing my hair, this was so much angrier than it is now. And I was just putting this on it and just like leaving it for hours so that that breakout would be a little bit more under control. This stuff is thick too, so it's kind of hard to get out sometimes. It like comes out like a whole piece. But yeah, I absolutely adore this stuff. It is so absolutely one of my favorites. It's just a nice mud mask or clay mask, whatever. But it's definitely good to reduce inflammation and redness. At least that's like the major benefits I find from using it myself, is that it definitely reduces redness and inflammation. Which my skin is always red and inflamed because I have cystic acne. Been breaking out really bad under like my chin area from the masks. They just like sit this whole, all of my breakouts where they are, you can like, other than my regular forehead acne, it's like definitely the mask knee has hit me real bad since Corona started. That's the scariest part of this video, is how bad my skin has gotten since Corona. Okay, so now that I look like your typical housewife in a slumber party movie, let's get into some more spooky paranormal stories, shall we? So this one is my favorite. I tell it to everybody. I don't know. It's just one of those things where you're just like living in the moment. You're like, you don't even notice it. And then it's like after the fact that you're like, that was really spooky, I guess. So this was it's either in my senior year of high school or the summer after or the year after. A general gist of it being 2012. Let's just say that. And I was at my best friend's house. And at this time, her and I were like big into Minecraft, like huge into Minecraft. And we had been playing for an ungodly amount of time, like an embarrassingly long amount of time without like moving or talking or doing anything other than what was in front of us on screen. And we had the TV on. We were in her living room, and it's a 2-story house. And we had the TV on, but the volume was super low because we wanted to listen to our game. And I have to say it was probably at like midnight. No. It was probably around 11:40. And we, like I said, we had been playing all day. Like we had definitely started playing before the sun went down. And we get this text message from her dad. And it's like, can you guys stop stomping around like elephants or donkeys or something like that? And her and I both look at each other like, yeah, we'll get right on that. Like we weren't doing anything. So she's just like, yeah. So her brother had a history of insomnia, which like I definitely did too, especially during like this time of life. She had gone upstairs to check on him to see if he was awake. to see if he was the person her dad was actually referring to, making all the donkey noise or, stomping around like an elephant or whatever it was that we supposedly had been doing. And for once in this boy's life, he was asleep before 1 a.m. and the dog was with him. So my friend is extremely confused, and she comes back downstairs, and after she comes back downstairs, it gets really quiet. And that's when we start to hear the footsteps that everybody upstairs had already been hearing. So we're just kind of listening for a while. And in the upstairs hallway, we just hear footsteps going back and forth and back and forth. And to this day, we have no explanation for who was causing those footsteps. We have theories. Her grandma had lived in the bedroom that was closest to where the footsteps were coming from. So we have theories that it was her grandma. It's nice to think of a family member watching over you, after they've passed. But yeah, so that was not the only time I ever heard those footsteps. A few years later, I was house sitting for them. They all went on a cruise, and I was watching the house and watching the dog. And I pretty much just stayed there. I pretty much lived there in high school anyway, so it wasn't really, I was definitely comfortable in that house. So my best friend's boyfriend at the time, now husband, they're the ones who got married on Monday. He was kind of there at the house with me every now and then, kind of helping me out, making sure that I wasn't alone. And my husband was as well. But literally every single night that I was in that house alone, I heard those footsteps. And I was like, why is it only happening on the nights that I'm by myself? But the power of the mind is a strange thing, so who knows? I could have imagined it all, but it definitely was weird that it happened more than once, especially that it happened when I was alone. But yeah, so that's another paranormal experience that I've experienced, I guess. There's a story that kind of goes along with that one as well. Like I had mentioned, the room that was closest to where the footsteps were coming from was the room that my best friend's grandma had lived in before she passed. And my best friend's mom, a few summers ago, was running a small business, and I was helping her out. And we had been calling each other a lot and just, bouncing ideas off for the business and, what time do I need to be where, what do you need, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. So, and the ideas, they were flowing at all hours, whatever, it didn't matter. So I got a phone call. It actually wasn't a phone call, it was a FaceTime. I was getting a FaceTime call from my best friend's mom at midnight, one night. And I answered it. And I FaceTime with some of my friends fairly regularly. I have one of my girlfriends from beauty school. We FaceTime all the time, and we lose connection a lot. And never is the screen just white, just a white screen. Like when you first turn on to set up your phone and it says hello. If you took the word hello away and you just had the time at the top of this phone screen. That was all that was on my screen when I answered the FaceTime. And any other time it's been loading, it's always a gray screen or a black screen. So I thought that was really weird. And I said hello, and I could hear that there was, an atmosphere. It wasn't just like a dead line. There was stuff going on around where the phone was. So I had assumed at this point that I had to have been butt dialed. So I just hung up, whatever. But then I started to get really, really anxious. Just something about the situation just wasn't sitting right with me. So the next morning, I didn't really know what to do about this. So I kind of just made up a reason to call my friend's mom / boss at the time. And so I call her and I'm like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Here's this idea I had. By the way, did you mean to call me last night? And she's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, oh, I got a FaceTime from you at midnight last night. And she's like, no, that's really weird. I actually left my phone in a different room to charge last night. And boy, let me tell you, when I knew I didn't even have to ask what room she had left her phone in, it was the room that her mom had lived in before she had passed away. So that was just another weird experience from that house / room that yeah, okay. This stuff is getting pretty tight on my face now at this point, so I'm gonna go ahead and rinse this off, and I will be back. We are going to get into this Cermedic Age Control Multivita face sheet mask. I will be back shortly, and I will have one more slightly spooky story. This one, the next one's kind of just weird, but it's always been interesting to me. Anyway, I will be right back. Okay, my face is feeling nice and fresh after that mask. Let's jump into this anti-aging mask here and get into some shorter last couple spooky stories here. So this one isn't so much paranormal as it was just one of like the creepiest, weirdest things that ever happened. That is just like one of those things where you're like, it wasn't ghosts, it wasn't demon, it wasn't aliens, but it still scared me. So this, I think I was in freshman year of high school, and I used to have this like massive DVD player that literally, it was so old and just beat to hell that it sounded like a frickin' semi-truck was driving by whenever it was turned on. And I have always been someone who struggles with anxiety, so to cope with that as a youth, to sleep better, which my doctor refused to ever believe that it actually helped me sleep at all, but to sleep better, I would sleep with a movie playing, usually like Star Wars or Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. So it's morning. I woke up to this long, monotonous sound, and my brain instantly thought it was my DVD player because long, monotonous sound. So I wake up. This was before my alarm had gone off yet, even for school that day. I'd woken up, went and turned the DVD player off, and one of the sounds went away. Definitely one of the sounds I was hearing was my DVD player, but not the main sound that I was worried about. So I'm like listening, and I just hear like this blaring sound, and I'm like, what on earth is that? And suddenly it just stops, and I hear like this shriek outside, and I'm like, what the actual heck was that? So my, 16, not even, I don't think I was 16 yet. I was in freshman year, so I was 15. My 15-year-old self grabs I have somewhere still, I still have it, a lightsaber. And, like, obviously I know I can't use a lightsaber to, like, kill anybody, right? But the design of this lightsaber, I'm going to find it, and I'm going to stick a picture in, because I need justification for this. I need justification for this. So, I'm going to find a picture, and now you are looking at this picture, hopefully I found. So you can see the end of this lightsaber. If you hit somebody over the head with that, it would hurt, okay? That's my reasoning. That was my justification for grabbing a lightsaber in this situation. I didn't have anything else I could smack somebody with and hurt them. I knew if I like took my lightsaber, I beat them with the other end, it would do something. So I grabbed my lightsaber and I head to the back door, our sliding glass door of my house, and my sister and my mom are out there, and they're around we had like an old Chevy van. So it turns out that the horn had been blaring, and that's what the sound was. Some mouse chewed the horn through the battery or whatever cable, and it caused the thing to just it's 5 a.m. in the middle of the dark. But it was my sister who screamed when the horn stopped, and that was the shriek that I heard. And you know what? She didn't do much better about grabbing a weapon. She literally grabbed a, broken leg of a chair. So, whatever. We all grab something weird when we're scared. So, yeah, that was the time that we all thought we were going to die because the van in the backyard became possessed. So, that was another one of those weird moments of high school that just felt weird and creepy. And the rest of the day was just had a weird feeling because it was such a eerie experience. So then another somewhat similar experience in the sense of it really made the rest of the day feel very strange. This was in senior year. I remember this still in my head, clear as day, remember this. Like I said earlier, I've struggled with insomnia my whole life, and that was a bad night for me. So I finally caved. I had this was a different TV even then, so I had a DVD player hooked up, but I usually would watch, it was one of those TVs that had a VHS player built into it. And at that point, I had given up on DVD players because they just died like that, because I would just watch stuff over and over and over again. They would literally only be turned off while I was at school and then just on the rest of the day. So I started watching more VHS tapes. Also, you could get them super duper cheap at the Goodwill. So I had Clueless. That was my favorite movie at the time. It's still one of my favorite movies. I'd have to say Scream is just my favorite movie at this point. But I put in Clueless to just watch or fall asleep, maybe. And I'm laying down. I could see my room. I know, so, and that's like the thing too, is I don't think I was asleep during this, because I could see my bedroom, I could see the TV, I could see everything that was happening along in sync with the audio on the TV, everything. And I'm laying on my bed, and I start to feel really weird. And I get this weird sensation in my belly button. And it felt like I was being, like, pulled upward from my belly button. And I was, like, looking around my room. And like I said, I could see my dirty floor. I could see my TV playing the movie. Totally normal movie. And that's like, I dream a lot. And I'll dream about movies, and they're not normal. Like, it's not right. Like, I remember I used to dream about The Labyrinth a lot, because that was one of my favorite movies as a kid. And anytime I dreamt about it, it wasn't Labyrinth, you know? So this was very different. Everything that was happening on the screen was happening exactly as it is in the movie. So that was something that stuck out to me too. And as I'm getting this sensation of being pulled, the ceiling is getting closer to me, and I am not on my bed anymore. And the feeling of being pulled kind of goes along with the rest of my body. So I can feel my back leave my bed. I can feel my legs leave my bed. I can feel my arms leave my bed. And as I'm getting closer to my ceiling, I start getting really scared. So I just started thinking, no, 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 in my head over again. And I didn't fall back into my bed. It wasn't like a drop. It wasn't, I woke up in my bed. I was lowered back onto my bed. So again, my arms hit my bed first, my legs, and I was basically the same way I was being lifted up. I went back onto my bed. And what really makes me think it wasn't a dream was that the TV was just going totally normal. The more I've looked into this situation, the more I find it lays in the realm of out-of-body experience / astral projection. I definitely don't think I was being abducted or anything. Like, nothing in this situation screamed aliens to me. But the more I've, like, learned about astral projection, and the more I've learned about, like, out-of-body experiences, and the fact that other people in my family have also had full out-of-body experiences, I just think that must have been what it was. I could see my room as it was. I knew I wasn't asleep, but I was leaving the area. And then I gently came back to the area when I decided I did not want to go. But yeah, that was one of the weirder things. So then, obviously, waking up from that the next morning, if it was a dream, who knows? Not me. If it was an out-of-body experience, whatever. The next day at school, I told my best friend everything. And I told her what time it happened. It was at 3 a.m. I remember because it was an insomniac night. I was keeping track. I had to be at school the next day. I knew what time it was. I knew how much time I had left. And I told her everything. She took me home that day. She didn't live that very far from me, and she was the one with a car, not me. So I, took advantage of that. So she drove me home. And my oldest sister and her are close. Like, they talk, which I freaking love. It's so nice to have, like, my sister actually be friends with my friends. And they were chatting, and my sister brings up, she's like, did you guys hear that last night? It was so weird. At 3 a.m., all of the frogs stopped at exactly the same time. And Mary-Kate and I just got really quiet, and we looked at each other, and we're like, 3 a.m., huh? Because that's exactly the time that I was leaving my body, or, being elevated upward. And yeah, that was definitely one of the weirder experiences, or out-of-body experiences, or dreams, I don't know, that I've ever had. But yeah, as you can see now, my little skin routine is done. It was nice to chat with you, tell you some of my spooky stories. These are not the only spooky stories you will hear, because the closer we get to Halloween, I have one scary story for you that we're currently living in. So if you want to hear what it's actually like to live in a haunted apartment, subscribe, because you will hear later this month what it is like to live in an actual haunted apartment. Anyway, those were my scary stories for tonight. I feel nice and relaxed after having chatted with you, having done a nice skin routine, and I'm gonna go get some Taco Bell and probably watch Haunting on Hill House. So have a good day, have a good night, have a good life. Come back for some more spooky stories later this month. Unusually Horrid out. Okay, bye!